afternoon, or whenever you're watching this video, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am filming my October reading wrap up. It was another very successful month in October with my reading, so I'm super happy about that. I managed 10 books, however I'm only going to show you 9 because I was sneaky and I included Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh in September's wrap up because I think I finished it on the 1st of October and I wanted to keep those 2 books together. So technically it was 10 because it was finished on the first day of October, but I'm going to go with 9 that I'm going to talk to you about today because they are the ones that I kind of read solidly in the month of October. So I'm going to give you my ratings, a little bit of my thoughts on the books, and hopefully you can pick up some recommendations from these. The first book that I read in the month of October was Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is her second book, I believe. I believe the first one was Every Summer After, which I really loved. I think I rated that one like 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. This one I gave 3 stars. I did enjoy it. It was a really fast-paced read. It didn't take me very long. I thought it was good, but I just think it lacked some depth of the characters. There was just so much more that I kind of wanted from this. I wanted to understand the characters a little bit more. It felt very much like they were grown-ups acting like teenagers, and I'm just not a massive fan of that. So I still recommend the book in terms of it's a really fun, easy romance to read, but it just certainly isn't one of my favourites. It's a second chance romance, but I just don't think it's done particularly well because it's all based off of 24 hours that they spent together, like 10 years previous to when the book's set. I don't know, there's just something about that. It's 24 hours and suddenly there's this massive connection where they both thought about each other every single day, and it just didn't feel right to me. So yeah, this was a 3-star book, but I still really enjoyed it and I still would recommend you picking it up. So yeah, that was book 1 of October. The second book I read I don't have with me because I read it on my Kindle, and that was Credence by Penelope Douglas. Now, I had high hopes for this book because I'd seen loads of people like taboo romance. It was really... there's not much more I can say about it other than I didn't particularly enjoy it. It was a 2-star book for me. I mean, I don't like the person she ended up with. I just felt like the concept, I don't know, maybe it wasn't for me, but I didn't enjoy it. I finished the whole thing, hence why I gave it 2 stars rather than 1. My 1 star is kind of reserved for books that I read most of and didn't finish, so I gave it 2 stars because I finished it. But I 100% probably wouldn't be recommending that. Unless someone was to say to me they really dig like incestuous relationships, I'm probably not going to recommend it. It just, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. I do want to pick up some more of her books because I've heard that they're great. I just don't think Credence was for me, so I'll just leave that one as is. Then in the post came Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and I'd pre-ordered this, so I was super excited when it arrived. I actually, just get it up, I bought a signed copy, so I've actually got Hannah Grace's signature in the book. I believe I gave this 5 stars. If I didn't, I'll correct it on the screen now, but I believe this was a 5-star book. I loved it. I loved Icebreaker. And this one was no different. I thought it was incredible. I know some people have said they're not sure how they feel about the setting being outside of the college, but I believe Hannah Grace has said that this isn't a hockey romance, this is just like a college romance series. So although he's a hockey player and so was Nate in the first book, they're not all necessarily going to be hockey players. Although I think Henry's book is next and he's a hockey player. But I believe that's what Hannah Grace has said. She doesn't want it to be known as just a sports hockey romance. But this was incredible. I loved the camp setting. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite, it was an escapism. Like, I've never been to a summer camp like that. I don't think they're as big in England as they are in America. Maybe I'm wrong, and lots of English people have been to one, but it just wasn't something that I ever did as a kid. So it just felt really escapism-ish, and I feel like as a college student working there, the tension that's building, the fact that it all stemmed from a one-night stand, I really liked it. I really liked Russ, kind of being this sweet, quiet guy that there are some scenes in this that maybe show he's not quite as sweet and quiet. Maybe. And I loved it. I thought Aurora was really cute. As we were getting to the like third act breakup, I was a bit worried. I was a bit like, oh, please don't do this, like it's my least favourite thing. But they actually did it pretty well. Hannah Grace did a really good job of it not being like this massive thing. I don't want to say too much because like if you've not read it and you're going to read it, but highly enjoyed, would 100% recommend if you enjoyed Icebreaker. So yeah, this was fantastic. And then probably one of my most anticipated books this month was Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Now, I'm sure you probably heard lots of people talking about it. So this was a 4-star read for me, and I was almost guaranteeing that it was going to be a 5-star. And I did give it 5 stars when I first read it. I came off, my Goodreads rating was 5. It has now gone down to 4 stars because, unfortunately, the more I've thought about this book, the more I'm thinking I wish they'd put in it. I wish I knew more about Beau. I feel like I read how many pages this book is, and it just didn't give the same kind of vibes as the other books. Like, these two characters could have had some really developed backstories, and I just don't feel like we got them in the way that we all hoped we would. I still really enjoyed it, and I love this world, and I love these people, and I know some people have really criticised the ending of this book. I'm not going to go too much into exactly what the ending is so that you don't obviously know, but I quite liked it. I didn't mind the slight change of dynamic that kind of went on. I quite liked that. I think it showed a really grown-up sense that like you don't all have to be family's family regardless of locations and things like that. I'm really hoping I'm not giving too much away. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was missing those little bits that would have really just pushed it to that 5-star level. Like, I wanted this like tortured soul, and you would really get into Beau and that kind of vibe. And I feel like the family wasn't involved as much in this, so like you didn't see his dynamic with his brothers in the same way that you'd seen the dynamics of the brothers in the other books. Jasper being his best friend, you barely even saw him, and I just think I missed that from the last book. I really missed their togetherness that we've come to expect from the Chestnut Springs series. So that's probably the things that would have pushed it to a 5-star for me. But 100%, if you are a Chestnut Springs lover or you're looking for a new romance series, the Chestnut Springs series is now complete, and I would highly recommend you picking it up. My favourites are Heartless and Reckless. They were both 5-star reads for me, and then the other 3 have been 4-star reads. So it's still a very good series, and overall I'd say it's probably a 5-star series in terms of just when you look at all of the books together, how beautiful it all is. So I would 100% recommend picking it up. This book was great, and I'm so glad that I read it. I now feel complete with the series, and I am going to miss Chestnut Springs 100%. I was then feeling super slumpy, and I picked up 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, which I got in a mystery book bundle, and I put it down really, really quickly. I wasn't in the mood for it. I couldn't really figure out what I was in the mood for, so that book's not included in this because I don't count that as even read. It's still on my TBR because I think I only got like a chapter in, if that, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I was like, what am I going to read? I've read the whole of the Chestnut Springs series recently. I've read Wildfire, which I loved. I've read the Boys of Torment series. I was like, I've read some fantastic books that I've absolutely loved, and I want to chase that feeling. Like, I was like, I don't just want a random book. So I looked to my shelf and I was like, right, what have I got? I don't want to buy anything just yet. And what have I got? So I delved back into the Dirty Air series, and this is Wrecked by Lauren Asher. I read Throttle, I think at the very beginning of this year, if not the end of last year, I can't remember exactly. And then I read Collided a couple of months ago, I believe. Collided was sometime this year. And I've gone to read this a few times, and then new releases have always arrived and I've always ended up reading those. So I finally got back into it, and this was phenomenal. I loved it. I really loved the F1 world. It was just so different. Like, I don't know, I think the F1 side of things is quite different to a regular sports romance, because it's not like college, they are grown-ups. They have like established lives now on the F1 track, and it's like very escapism for me because they're travelling all over the world, and the F1 aspect gives it a really fast-paced environment. So this one follows Elena and Jax. These are the two characters. So Jax we've kind of known throughout the other two books. He's part of like the core four, as you'd probably call it, of races. So he was in this book, and then Elena we met briefly in Collided. She's like a PR fixer-upper. She comes in when the racers or the sports personnel are like causing themselves trouble in the media. So this was a 4-star book for me. Absolutely incredible. I love this series, and if you're looking for a really fast-paced romance, I would highly recommend the Dirty Air series. I was super excited to then get on to the next book. Once I finished this one, like, it refueled my love for this series, which was fantastic, and I wish I hadn't waited so long in between, but I'm glad I had this here to get me out of my slump, which was very much needed. And then as I got to finishing that, I had You Said I Was Your Favourite by Monica Murphy delivered, and this is the latest instalment in the Lancaster Prep series, which, as I'm sure everyone, I don't know whether I've mentioned it that much on here, to be fair, but this is one of my guilty pleasure series. I mean, so I gave this one, is it 4 stars? I think this was a 4-star. This, I think, is potentially my favourite in the series so far. I don't know. This series is a guilty pleasure because they are like toxic romances, like very, but from my Magnolia Parks obsession, you're aware that I love a toxic romance. So these are toxic. They are set in a prep school, like a boarding school, Lancaster Prep, and they all follow like different members of the Lancaster family. This one follows Arch Lancaster and Daisy Albright. Daisy is like a scholarship student, so her dad works at the school, so she's definitely not rich. She's not up there with all the elitist students that are there, like, she's completely different. And it's her and Arch's story. I just thought it was quite sweet. It was slightly less toxic than the other ones that I've read. I think Arch was slightly less, in my opinion, it was slightly less toxic. It's still that kind of vibe. It's like your rich, snobby kids in school. But I really enjoyed this series, and I flew through it in like a day. It was incredible. Like, I really love Monica Murphy's writing, and I believe we've just had a spin-off series of the Lancaster Prep announced. So I'm super excited for when that comes out, because I have loved these books. And I've got left it's not in the Lancaster Prep, but she's Charlotte Lancaster, and it's the Arranged Marriage series. So that's another spin-off. I've still got that one to read, and I absolutely will get to it at some point. But I've loved all of these like interconnected standalones that have kind of gone so far. I don't know whether we're getting any more in this set series or whether it's just going to be spin-off series now. I'm not sure. But if you enjoy spicy romances filled with quite a lot of drama, I would 100% recommend the Lancaster Prep series. And this book was phenomenal this month. Really, really enjoyed it. The next book that we read in October was Redeemed, which is the 4th and final book in the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. 5 freaking stars. This was my favourite book in the series. Like, this was it for me. I really enjoyed how there was a lot of depth to the characters. So this is Chloe and Santiago, and Santiago is the brother of Maya from the first book. So this was his story, and look, I don't want to give too much away in terms of what happened. I mean, you find most of it out in the first chapter. like in the prologue, you have like, it starts 3 years ago, and you learn very quickly what the issue is going to be. But I don't want to go too much into it, but there is some fantastic disability representation in this book. There is some miscommunication, but then I think they show how they can healthily communicate that afterwards. So as much as I don't love miscommunication, it's dealable. We got to like what was going to be the confrontation, the issue in the book, and I was super worried that that was suddenly, like, up until that point I was like, this is 5 stars. Like, there was so many beautiful quotes, like I was tearing up, I was giggling, like I was feeling everything with these characters. I was like, it's a solid 5 star. And we were getting to like the issue that was then going to be in the book, and I was like, oh, this, like, I could tell, or I thought I could tell what it was going to be, and I was like, this is going to ruin it. This is going to bump it down to a 4 star, and I'm so disappointed. I was like, because like this is not what I wanted. But then it didn't. The miscommunication that I thought was going to happen happened, but in a different way, and I was okay with that. Like, it was done in a way that didn't actually make me want to rip my hair out. So Lauren Asher did well there. She still kept it at a 5 star, and I'm so thrilled. So I just want to read you one quote from this book that has been in my head. You might be the hero in my story, but you're the legend in theirs. And I can't tell you why that made me tear up. Like, I don't know, but just, it was near the end of the book, so you're just kind of really feeling everything that these characters are feeling. So highly, highly recommend the series. I don't think people talk about it enough. People are always talking about her Dreamland Billionaire series, but I hear way less about this, and I probably prefer this series to the Dreamland Billionaire series. Like, I loved the Dreamland Billionaire series, but I think I loved this one more. So I would highly recommend these if you've not picked up them yet and enjoyed Lauren Asher's writing, or are simply just looking for a new romance series to start. These would be fantastic. It's completed, so you're not waiting for anything. This has a fantastic extended epilogue where you see all of the characters from the 4 books in it. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you picking it up. I then got a book that I feel like has kind of gone viral recently, and that is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. How incredible was this book? I think you'll have seen it in my Cozy Light Read With Me that was posted last week. So you'll have got like a lot of my commentary on this book in that. This man is the biggest like golden retriever with an edge I've ever seen. Like, he was fantastic. This was a 5-star read for me. I went into it thinking that that was going to be the case, and it 100% was. So fully recommend this book. I don't want to say too much because I literally did just I kind of went into a massive spiel on it in my video posted last week, so I don't want to bore anyone. But yeah, if you're worried about pregnancy tropes, not sure it's your thing, 100% read this one. With a disability representation, a golden retriever man, a strong woman, this gives all the things that you want a pregnancy romance book to give. So 5 stars, I highly recommend. And then the final book we've got to talk about came at a perfect time. This is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore, and herself has likened it to a Stars Hollow-esque vibe of a novel. And I couldn't agree more. This was the perfect book to read at the very end of October, giving all of the like autumnal feels that you want. Small town, really cute friends, this cute cafe aesthetic with a rugged farmer, and enough spice in it just to like give you that giddy feeling about a romance. This was 4 stars for me. It was super easy, flew through it. I was concerned at the beginning because it is a 3rd person written book, and I am more of a 1st person because I feel like you get in their heads more. However, Laurie Gilmore did a fantastic job of still getting me inside these characters' heads, still making me really know who they are, written in 3rd person. So she may have changed my mind, and I believe now I may be able to go back and give 7 Days in June another go, because that was written in 3rd person. It was, I think, one of the things that wasn't doing it for me. So I may now be able to give that another go, but I know we're just coming out of October, but I believe you could probably still get this in in the beginning of November, and it's a book, you can read it whenever, but if you are still looking for that like autumnal feel, the weather here in England is still not too cold. Like, it's quite sunny today. I'm looking at my window, it's quite sunny today, so it's still giving that autumnal-esque rather than full-on winter that I'm sure we're gonna get very soon. But highly recommend. I thought it was super cute, and I believe there's more to come in this Dream Harbour series, so I'm really looking forward to it. I thought the friendship group in this was so wholesome and adorable. A lot of them have grown up together, so you really got that sense of community and family. So this was adorable, and I mean the romance was beautiful too, but I think the main thing I got from this was just the sense of community. Like, it was a good romance and I liked them, but it was very fast paced. It's not the longest book, so it was quite a quick romance, but just the sense of family and sense of community that Laurie Gilmore has built in her world of Dream Harbour was phenomenal, and I think that is what stands out to me from this book. So those are all the books that I read in October. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on to you about them. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that maybe you got a few recommendations. You can add a few to your TBR. Please do let me know down below what your favourite book of the month was. I think I'm gonna have to say mine was either Redeemed or Out on a Limb. I think they were probably my two favourites this month. I can't pick between them. So yeah, I think they were my two favourites. But yeah, let me know what your favourite book of October was and what you're really looking forward to reading in November. I may have some surprising reads in my November wrap up, but you may have seen them slightly before in a different video that I'm planning. So November could be a bit of a different month for me, so I'm really excited. Let me know in the comments if you think you may be able to guess. You may be, if you follow any of my other platforms you might know, but let me know in the comments if you think you can potentially guess what the different aspect of my month might be. It'd be interesting. So thank you so much for watching. Please do leave likes, comments below, and do subscribe to my channel if you fancy watching an amateur booktuber grow. I've loved having you here, and I've loved sharing my October wrap up with you. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye!